Good morning, afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to our webinar, Increase Revenue and Market Share by Embedding Business Analytics. Before we get started, I'd like to just begin with a few housekeeping items. All of the lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise during the presentation. There will be a Q&A at the end of the presentation and demo. If you have questions for either of our speakers throughout the presentation, please submit them through the Q&A panel located at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you're having trouble hearing the audio through the computer, a separate phone line has been set up, which you can see here on the screen. And last of all, we will be recording the session, which will be available on demand at pentaho.com within 48 hours of the webinar. I would now like to introduce today's presenters. We have Kevin Dobbs. Kevin is the founder of Montclair Advisors, a leading strategic advisory firm exclusively providing customized software-as-a-service advisory services designated to help SaaS-based and non-SaaS-based software companies optimize their business models, improve revenues, control costs, and deliver world-class software. We have Drew Quinlan, Director of Sales for OEM North America. Drew leads the Pentaho sales team responsible for recruiting and retaining OEM partners across North America. He has over 10 years of experience in creating and selling OEM packages to both the OEM and ISV. We also have Felix Cerna, CEO of Empathy Logic. Felix is focused on leading Empathy Logic to become the premier independent player in the customer data management and marketing automation industries. Felix's 20 years of technical infrastructure and online marketing management experience gives him a unique perspective within the world of marketing technology. I now turn it over to Drew to give a brief overview of today's presentation.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to go ahead and give a brief synopsis of what we're going to focus on today. So the focus today is on why advanced analytic capabilities are a requirement for successful applications in today's market. Today is all about white labeling and other vendors' products to get these functions quickly, easily, and cheaply into your product. So today is all about ISVs. Why are advanced analytic capabilities important? Are they important to you? How can you get them? How do you then choose the right vendor? And what are other people doing today that you should know about? So with this focus in mind, I will now pass it over to Kevin Dobbs to provide a data-driven perspective of today's market.
Thanks, Drew. So as Michelle was talking about, Montclair Advisors, our primary focus is really to work with ISVs and helping them build great businesses. So one of the questions that we get a lot is we need to add capabilities into our platform or into our offering. And so quite often we get asked about things such as business analytics. How are we going to do that? Maybe this isn't a core competency of what we're doing. So during this little section, what I want to do is just give you some perspectives from what I'm hearing from my clients and other people in the industry regarding these kind of things. The first thing is there's no doubt that the SaaS market is really growing quite quickly. One of the things that's interesting is that more and more companies now, as their platforms are getting more mature, are really starting to look at adding in, inline analytics, other types of capabilities that allow their customers or even administrators of these systems to be able to pull lots of data, visualize it, and then distribute it out to all their users. So they're looking at it as, here's an opportunity not only to make my platform more robust and sticky, but also potentially new revenue angles that they can start kind of monetizing. So in this chart from a recent Gartner report, obviously, as the SaaS market is growing, you can also see that the market for BI platforms and BI applications is kind of growing with it. And I think you'll continue to see this trend over the next few years. The other thing is that the buyers of these SaaS solutions are looking for, really easy access to a lot of different types of capabilities. So they want anytime, anywhere access. When I'm talking to my clients, ideally what they don't want to do is have to piece part a number of different solutions together to create kind of what they need. So ideally, they'd like to find something that's more comprehensive, more end-to-end. And what was interesting working with Pentaho is just some of the clients that they've got and they're working with, and their companies we're familiar with as well. So it's an exact target is a good example. What they were looking for was something around integrated data analysis, which is pretty common. Marketo, who I think a lot of people know in the marketing space, is looking for something that they could build in, rebrand, and as Drew was calling it, kind of white label it. So no one's going to know what the technology is, but they're kind of relying on Pentaho. I see this as a huge requirement with most of the ISVs that we work with. IQ Navigator, people may not be familiar with them, pretty interesting company. In the HR and vendor management space, really fast-growing company, global footprint. They look at a lot of complex data. They have a huge amount of information that they're trying to manage and then make available to their clients. One of the requirements that they had that I see quite a bit in the discussions we have with our clients is, we really want to be able to push this data out into mobile devices. And, 5 years ago, there weren't iPads. Today, most executives and a lot of people in the field-based part of organizations, are using tablets or mobile devices. And so being able to quickly deploy new solutions that support kind of the mobile worker or the mobile requirement is more important today than it ever has been. And then, intelligent insights is in the healthcare space, and, we really see this idea of this end-to-end platform. I can go to one provider, I can get everything I need, and maybe I start with the provider and I get one component of what I need, but really what I'm looking at is over time, can I roll out everything from one provider? It just makes it easier for the ISV to manage the relationship, synchronize product releases. There are a variety of other kind of cost and operational advantages to do that. So I thought these were pretty good examples. If you go to the Pentaho website, there are a lot of other examples as well, but these were 4 good ones. Another reason why I'm seeing companies looking to OEM solutions is this whole idea of customer adoption and consumption. So when you're building a SaaS business, one of the things that you're looking at is I don't only want to sell you the solution, I want to make sure you're using it. And so you can see from this example, working with one of our partners, Aperio, we've come up with kind of an idea of delivering this whole customer experience, and that really is the idea that as you go in and you're unaware about the product, as you get more familiar during the sales process, you're being communicated to, you're starting to really like the product, and you get to the point where you purchase it, then all of a sudden you're starting to learn a lot more about it, you're trying to be trained on it, you want to really kind of not only be familiar with it, but use it on a day-to-day basis. And then ultimately you want to kind of move up this curve of not only adopting the solution, but institutionalizing it and, being really spreading the usage of the product throughout the organization. So this kind of land and expand methodology that most SaaS companies use. The reason I included this chart is that it's really important as you're thinking about who you're going to work with, they need to be able to support you in this process. So you may OEM a great product, but then if they don't support you or they don't have the right infrastructure to kind of help you move up the curve with your customers, it's not really going to help build out your business like you'd like to. So I think that that's a real important consideration when you're thinking about the provider you're using. We talk about adoption and consumption, but it's also customer satisfaction. So, a lot of the SaaS companies are looking today, how can we deliver products that are really compelling that people want to use? So if you develop these type of products and roll them out and provide a really great level of support and service, you're going to get the renewals. That's what, most SaaS companies, if you look at their economic model, renewals are critical. So making sure that you're delivering really good products is important. You want to make sure that you're getting data to people and providing data capabilities, quickly. And you want to more and more administrative capabilities. You want to push that out to users so they can do it themselves. So self-service is becoming a real requirement. We talked about mobile. Another big consideration that we talk to our clients about, and the next slide we'll talk about this, is a lower total cost of ownership. Because some technologies are great, but if they cost a lot to maintain, or the cost of maintaining them and operating them over time goes up, that may actually have a really detrimental impact on your cost of goods sold, or your COGS. If you've got really high cost of goods sold, it's very difficult in a SaaS model to make money. So you've got to find technologies that you can work with that are easy to use, low cost, and can kind of grow with you and help you maintain kind of your margins. And then the other thing that we see a lot is more and more big data is becoming a requirement. Most SaaS companies deal with lots of data, but being able to harness that data, harvest the data, visualize the data, and then deliver it back to the user is really important. So those are all some things that we're seeing leading products are being able to deliver for their clients. And here was just a little, some of a recent survey by Aberdeen Group that just talked about some of the benefits of embedding using an embedded BI strategy. Another consideration, so we just talked about total cost of ownership. One of the things at Montclair that we've done with a lot of our ISV partners is looked at, what is the cost of buy versus build? Because that's one of the things that everybody seems to be asking is, isn't it cheaper for me just to do this ourselves? And one of the things that we've done is we've built a TCO modeler where we've worked with a number of our clients to really look at this buy versus build at a granular level. And so this is just a representative chart, but the idea is, how do you lower those costs? Well, one of the things we find is that you're going to need a lot fewer people on your development team, your support team, because you're going to be leaning on the OEM to help you do that. Keeping the software up to date over time is potentially pretty expensive when you start looking at the details. So having someone else, update the software, keeping it fresh, making sure that it's something that, has all the latest advancements in the product and that you're not having to catch up all the time. And then the availability of support and training when you need it to, either roll out existing capabilities, support you with maybe complex clients, but making sure that you're not incurring all those costs. You can, again, lean on your OEM partner. And the way that we looked at this over a 5-year period was, small use cases, medium use cases, and large use cases. And, most of the cost in that is people and time. And so being able to work with an OEM partner, a lot of times we've found that it can be, up to 3 times less expensive to work with an OEM than trying building it in-house. So we talked a little bit about cost of goods sold. I just want to touch on this for a minute. This is a model that we use with our clients a lot, talking about the maturity of the SaaS business model over time. So as you can see from the left-hand column, the startup phase, obviously you're not very profitable, as you can see by the big red box at the bottom. But over time, what you want to do is try to reduce your cost of goods sold, or at least keep it consistent. So as revenues improve, as your business model grows over time, you can be able to, maintain those margins. And then if you move to the right-hand column, you can see as you grow to maturity, obviously, then you're going to be making profits, and that's really what most organizations are driving towards. If you think about, if you start OEMing a lot of products and let's say the commercial terms are not really attractive, or the total cost of operation of the technology or a variety of other things increase your cost of goods sold over time, actually, even as you grow your revenues, it may actually impact your ability to deliver profits. So, you know, that's something else that we really advise companies to think through how they're modeling this out when they're working with their partners. And so in conclusion, really, the three things that we would have you think about is when you're looking at a BI or analytics partner is, the first one is, we always recommend with our clients, you know, use a standards-based solution. Don't get locked into something that's really proprietary. We think that this gives you the ability to minimize the risks. So if something changes, for instance, you don't need a specific kind of skill set to come in and, let's say, build reports or do other things. You're going to have access to a larger skill pool, so that can keep your costs down. We also don't like the fact that if you go for something that's really proprietary or even in-house build, you know, you get locked into it, and that reduces your business flexibility, which again, we think is really important. We've touched on this a couple times, flexible business terms. It's great if the technology does everything you need, but what you're going to find is as you're trying to get your business case done to do a deal with a provider, oftentimes the line of business executives, the C-level people, or even the finance executives, if they look at the terms and conditions and say, hey, listen, we don't want to do a perpetual license, or we don't want to do a subscription. We want, you know, the ability to find that right commercial model that works for your organization is really, really important. The other thing is finding a provider who understands as you grow, what you can't really afford to do is all of a sudden dramatically increase royalties and, you know, the commercial model, because at that point there's actually a disincentive to roll the product out and be successful. The last consideration is really, we have seen this over and over again, is, you know, you really want a strong relationship, because oftentimes when you're OEMing these products, I mean, you're going to be reliant on this company. It's something that you really need in order to be successful, and you want to make sure that you're looking for somebody who has a good track record of bringing people on board, training them. They've got all sorts of tools and templates and capabilities to support you, get you up and running, and then more importantly, over time, they're working with you to kind of sell your products, support you, and then, you know, make sure that you're successful. In the end, if you look at those three things, I think you're going to come out with a good partner and have a really good outcome. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Drew, and I'll let you kind of continue on.
All right, thanks, Kevin. This is just a reminder that if you'd like to ask questions about any of Kevin's content or any of the content we're about to go through, please just go ahead and type them into the text box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen to ask those questions. So, you know, with all of this industry data in mind, and a lot of feedback from the current customer base we have here at Pentaho in the OEM segment of our business, we've designed our whole OEM program at Pentaho to meet the specific needs of the ISV market. So with that in mind, what we've done is created a foundation here built around three principles: the tech, the partnership, and the business terms. With the technology, is this the right technology for you? With the partner, is this a strong partner that you want to attach your future success to? And for the business terms, you know, will I increase sales, market share, and my margins? So from the very beginning, Pentaho was built with ISVs in mind. We knew people were going to want to embed it, and for that reason, it was designed with an open architecture. It's modular, pluggable. It's built to be extended. It's not going to weigh your application down or hinder performance. It's lightweight and it's modern. The open standards. Java is about as open and widely used as anything today, which is really going to help you decrease your costs to implement this solution as well. And then finally, we are open source, which is a huge advantage, and we're also enterprise grade. By viewing the source code, it makes those extensions you may need to build much, much easier. And you're not going to get locked into vendor release cycles. This is one of the biggest complaints that we hear from a lot of our existing ISVs who are moving to Pentaho, is that they need a feature, and with a proprietary vendor, it's 18 months out. You know, they can't get it. They need it now. With us, you're not going to get locked into those vendor release cycles. And then one of the most important things to know about Pentaho's tech is that it's a complete solution. It's data integration plus business analytics. And what this means is that because of our focus on big data, you can go from traditional data stores, you can go from analytical data stores, you can go from all the new big data flavors like Hadoop and Mongo, and even custom data stores. You can get all the way to visuals with little to no code. And that's mainly because of the data integration piece that we own and develop. So the technology, though, is only one aspect of the decision. So the other thing you really need to consider is the partnership. When you choose to OEM a vital part of your app, you need to ensure it's with a strong partner who can be trusted with your future success. So we are battle tested. Our product is everywhere. We've got over 10,000 deployments, 1,200 commercial customers, and we have a really large partner ecosystem, so you can get the help that you need. We are a proven innovator. As you can see, we've been first to market with many, many features. And what this means to you as an ISV is that you will also be innovative and first to market, because our feature set is your feature set. And then finally, you know, our ability to support you is your ability to support your customers. We understand this, and we provide OEM-specific premium production support with this in mind. Another part of the partnership is the development handholding. We know what it takes to make you a big success. There is a long and large history over the last 20 to 30 years of failed BI projects. We don't want any failed OEM projects, and we know what it takes to be successful with our huge install base as of today. So we've got that OEM-specific support, and this is that development enablement that we're talking about. We've got an architecture workshop where we actually come out on site with one of our lead architects and review your entire architecture before you even start really implementing it to make sure that you build it right the first time. You don't have to re-architect later. And then we also have tailored OEM training classes. These classes are vital to get everybody up to speed and trained properly so that you're delivering the product in the right way and you can implement it easily and cheaply. So now you've got the right technology, you've got the right partner. That still isn't enough. You've got to be able to make money doing this. So business terms are vital. So what is your model? Is it on-premise? Is it SaaS? Is it some hybrid version of both? We've got a single contract that can match any of those models. We've got very flexible pricing. We can do perpetual. We can do annual. We can do all kinds of things. And what we want to do is match your metric. The whole goal there is to just make it really easy from an admin perspective, and to make sure that you keep your margins intact along the whole growth cycle, like Kevin showed earlier. And then in addition to that, another thing Kevin touched on is the terms and conditions. If you've ever tried to negotiate with one of the big enterprise vendors, one of their favorite negotiating tactics is take it or leave it. We don't bend on this part of the deal. And a lot of the time that means that it puts your company in a pretty awkward position yourself. We're very open to all reasonable, industry standards for the terms and conditions, and in almost all cases, we're not going to make you go out and change an existing EULA that you might have in place with a lot of your install base. So as you can see, we built this entire program with the varied needs of an ISV in mind. We are the right technology, we are the right partner, and we do have the right business terms for you. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and pass to Felix he's going to show you the look and feel and power of Pentaho in action inside the products at Empathy Logic. And he'll also share a little bit about their product and why they decided to choose Pentaho. So Felix, it's over to you.
Hello, welcome to all. Good morning. Thank you. So, see my slide here. So, Empathy Logic is a 2-year-old software startup out of Silicon Valley. What we do is we have a marketing data exchange that we run in the cloud for our clients, and we OEM Pentaho technology for that. In this slide, you can see the problem as we see it. Is the convergence of customer and prospect data that resides in internal data sources. This can be ERP systems, e-commerce systems, and so on, and data that resides in software as a service solutions or social sites. That is also detail around your prospects and customers and where they are in their purchasing and interest life cycle, where they are in your demand generation funnel. The problem, as we see it, is that that data has different elements of the interactions with these end customers and prospects, and if the interactions happen through these independent channels, what you get is often not very successful communication and irrelevant messaging. You get disengagement from your customers and frustration. There's a classic scenario where you're talking to a service rep about a problem with a product, and you get a sales call from the same company trying to upgrade you on that product or co-sell you while you still have an issue open. That's one of the scenarios. Another one is when you're talking to a sales rep about a particular solution, and you get a quote, and then the marketing department from that company sends you a different offer at the same time. We all have had these things happen. What we are doing is we are integrating data from all these different sources, from email marketing vendors, CRM vendors, telemarketing, social media, plus your internal data. We are putting in the cloud. We are processing it with ETL and ETL solutions with the help of Pentaho, and then using the Pentaho business intelligence interface to allow our clients to leverage that data within those same systems that are producing it, enabling real marketing automation across systems. So let me show you. So in terms of capabilities, Empathy Logic Server is running on the cloud. It doesn't require any heavy work on the sides of the IT organizations from our customers. We leverage our partner Amazon Web Services for the infrastructure, and Pentaho, again, for the business intelligence suite and the ETL processes. We are vendor and platform agnostic, so we integrate with all the vendors, and you'll see in our partner slide at the end how we integrate with SaaS vendors and then traditional ERP type and e-commerce type vendors in internal systems. And we are not a replacement play, so we don't execute in any of these channels. We simply integrate data across them to make it more effective for marketing automation. In slide number 5, you can see this snapshot. This is Pentaho and embedded in our solution. So you can see it's Empathy Logic branded. It's running in a browser, and the first thing that comes up for our clients is a dashboard showing what is happening with their customer and prospect data across different systems, how it's been merged, how it's a structure in terms of the use for email, mail, social media, or telemarketing, and what kind of processes have been running around that exchange of data from the different sources. It's also where they can see if there is an issue, and where they can set up alerts if data gets out of range. The way we look at we are directly leveraging the ability to create very easy-to-use dashboards to show what's happening with ETL processes, for example, in this ETL detail tracking dashboard. Showing you can see, it's a weekly calendar of feeds in this particular slide from a particular education system feeding marketing and student data in this case. Then we, again, using Pentaho business intelligence capabilities, we're able to create a solution that allows our clients to be able to do segmentation across all those systems that are now integrating prospect and customer data. This is, leveraging the all-up setup that we get from the business intelligence suite, and then taking it beyond by creating a small set of panes that allow them to pick and choose different attributes from different systems in order to create a file. And then that file can be created ad hoc, one-time solution, or can be set up with timers to be produced on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and then be consumed by one of the systems. That's how you can, triggers that happen on an email marketing solution can inform the calling list in the telemarketing vendor that is using another system the following day. So you start getting that automation across systems and across solution providers. The next slide, again, the ability to be working directly with the data using the business intelligence solution from Pentaho allow us to very quickly get to a point where we can slice and dice data across all the attributes and all the systems that are contributing data. So, for example, here we are looking at tracking lifecycle stages across channels. In this example, this is a software vendor, very much like Pentaho itself, that it has a community where people can create an account, they can download the product, they can then install the product, register with the community. This is a trial, and then you're going to be, sending them offers and selling them on the solution, and then, later on, cross-selling and upselling. So those are, life cycle states that you have your prospect and customer base sitting on, and you want to be able to track them across, different systems that produce and reveal entitlements and transactions from these different stages of the life cycle of your customer. And if you transform this into a 3D visual, you're looking at a funnel. It's the classic demand generation funnel, but it's across systems, not just depicted from one system perspective. And it's leveraging the data to depict the life cycle from the perspective of your customer, not from the perspective of whatever system you're able to use. That's a strategic difference that we believe makes a company that is using this type of solution generate competitive advantage. We'll move on quickly here. I want to leave some time for Q&A. Some of our partners, of course, Pentaho. We leverage Amazon Web Services for the infrastructure, and then, the key players on marketing automation, email marketing, CRM, and so on. Why we chose Pentaho? First, it's open source based, open standards. This is rooted in our company history and culture. Most of us came from software organization and the web marketing organization at Sun Microsystems and Netscape. So open standards were very important to us. Leveraging open source was very important to us. Then, as mentioned before, we really believe that the model that Pentaho is using with their partner, reseller, and OEM structures and contracts is very, very useful and progressive. And it allows us to start leveraging the technology very, very quickly, to develop, as a young company, as a startup, to develop our business models, test them with a bunch of clients, and then very quickly evolve them so we can be set up for growth. Another important part is good innovation and integration of new technologies, and we have seen this, in the year and a half that we have been partnering with Pentaho, the evolution of big data and the ability for them to do testing in the cloud, to do cloud implementations in weeks. All this is substantial for us because it speeds up our development and our ability to match our clients' requirements. And then good training and marketing programs, which we have been taking advantage of and training our team and developing a strong competency within the company very quickly, and also a great team that is always very receptive to our ideas and as a client. With that, this is our mantra: acquire and retain more customers and accelerate your revenue cycles. If anybody wants to follow up with me for any questions, you can send me an email at fcerna@empathylogic.com or to the company at info@empathylogic.com. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Felix. That was perfect. That was great. So, so again, this is just to close the loop on today's focus. Today was definitely centered around ISVs. Everything today was relevant to you as a software provider. I think we've shown that having advanced analytic capabilities in today's market is vital to your success as a company. How can you get them? As Kevin's shown, you need to buy them. Don't go down the road of building them yourself. If you need to show that and prove it internally at your own company, we can absolutely help you with that. How do you evaluate the potential products that you could OEM? We've given you a decent structure today, and we've been more than happy to share more details around that. But essentially, you need the right technology, the right partner, and the right business terms. Too many people go down the route of just having a technical bake-off, and then they end up coming back to a different vendor 6 months later and 3 months after the project deadline because they couldn't reach commercial terms with the other vendors. So, and then what are the other ISVs doing today? I think Empathy Logic is cutting edge and a fantastic example of what somebody's doing today in the market with Pentaho powering their capabilities. So, again, if you have any questions, please type them into the bottom right-hand corner. We've had a few come in, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over to Michelle to open up the Q&A.
Thanks, Drew. Okay, we have had a few questions come in, so I'll just go ahead and kick them off. Jason asks, does Pentaho have multi-threading data clustering technology to parallel process big data? You can take that one, Drew?
Yeah, so Jason, we do have multi-threaded capabilities. Our Pentaho Data Integrator is a multi-threaded, multi-core engine, and it runs especially well with Hadoop. But with that being said, with any data source, and we validated this in many places, we're never the bottleneck. We're not going to be the point that's slowing you down because of the strength of Pentaho Data Integrator. Some of the other larger proprietary data integration vendors, they cannot process inside Hadoop or inside any other big data source like the way that Pentaho can. So that's actually a really big advantage for us.
Okay, I think we touched on this in the beginning, but the next question, you can just go ahead and answer this again. But Teresa asks, how big is your OEM program today? How many partners do you currently have? And Drew, maybe you could go ahead and take that.
Yeah, so our OEM program is growing rapidly. We're well over 100 partners today. That's more than enough to have a huge ecosystem, and we're rapidly adding 4 or 5 net new customers every month.
Okay, thanks, Drew. Our next question here, Kevin, maybe you can take this since it applies to one of your slides. What exactly are cost of goods sold, the COGS that you mentioned, and why does it matter when selecting an embedded BI tool?
So when in the old days, if you were just doing a traditional software business, your cost of goods sold is usually like 5% of your total revenues, and your gross margins were 95% for some simple math. That's because really all you're doing with your software is once you build it, you deliver it either on disks or you put it on an FTP site. So there's not really much involved in the actual delivery of the software. In a SaaS model, what ends up happening is you're not only delivering it a one-time snapshot, you're delivering a service. So you all of a sudden, from a financial perspective, need to account for the data center, all the infrastructure required, all the software. That's where kind of Pentaho would come in. Any support or services that are required for the service, and in your kind of P&L statement, it's that cost of service delivery or cost of goods sold that for most SaaS companies, the range is somewhere in like 30 to 40% of your total revenues are typically associated with delivering the service. So why is this relevant? You've got to make sure that over time you're trying to stay in that 30 to 40% range if you can. And what you want to do is find ways to keep that cost down. So as you scale your business, what you don't want to do is every time you add, let's say, 10 or 100 new customers, your cost of goods sold starts going to 60 or 70%, and ironically, you start losing money. So from a financial modeling perspective, you always want to look at, how do I keep that number down? And again, we touched on a number of things. Look at the total cost of ownership, what's associated with that, and then what are your commercial terms, and that should keep you in that kind of 30 to 40% range.
Thanks, Kevin. And since you're talking right now, we'll go ahead and give you another one. I think this will probably be most relevant to your presentation. But how important is, this is in regards to mobile devices, how important is providing a BI or analytics tool on mobile devices for a best-in-class SaaS product?
Well, I think that if you look at any of the major players who are out there today, we follow this very closely. I would say that most companies over the last 6 to 12 months have made some pretty major announcements about new mobile capabilities. When you think about the whole trend of bring your own device to work, and you think about the number of iPads and tablet devices that have now been kind of thrown out across the industry inside of all sizes of organizations, being able to support that's important. But what is more interesting is not just, hey, I can access my app, but it's more, can I start using these tools anytime, anywhere, and start making good decisions with it and understanding my business at a deeper level. And that's really where BI and analytics comes in. It's those type of capabilities. Can I see a dashboard of what's happening in my business in real time? Can I, look at, let's say, my supply chain, or, what's happening, with empathy logic is a good example, my marketing campaigns, what's my spend, how's that impacting my revenues? Those are all the things that buyers of these type of solutions are looking for, and more, it's table stakes that you've got to be able to support mobility. And so I think if you look across kind of a broad spectrum of the leading SaaS products today, again, over the last 12 months, many of them have announced, a variety of different kinds of BI and analytics capabilities.
All right, thanks, Kevin. I'm going to throw this back to you, Drew. Bhaskar asks, does embedding Pentaho require running a separate process, or is it deployed as a set of libraries and run inside the same app server as a SaaS application?
That's a great question. The technology here at Pentaho is very, very flexible, along with our contractual and licensing models. So where other companies may require you to reach a certain level of embedding, we don't. We offer 4 ways to integrate with Pentaho, 4 major ways, and those require something as simple as a joint iframe, where you're running totally separately, but it could be as deep or complex as Java-level embedding, where the libraries are actually installed in the same app server. So we've got customers that are doing both ways. A lot of it depends on how deeply you want to customize the application, and a lot of it depends on how fast you want to get to market.
Okay, thanks. And I think we have time for just a couple more. So if anyone has any last-minute questions, go ahead and type them in now, but we'll go ahead. And Kevin, this one looks like it's probably relevant to you. What are some ways that a BI vendor could make onboarding easier for their SaaS partner?
Oh, that's an easy one. One of the things that we see a lot is the ability to offer things such as templates, pre-configured reports. Integration's always an issue. So, how do I get at the various data sources that I need? Being able to provide, let's say XML schemas or connectors, being able to provide training that's available not only through, let's say, one-to-one remote or in person, but also, making the training, videos, offline capabilities that somebody can use to kind of build out their prototypes. And then the last area that we see is that software companies are also looking potentially at vertical solutions. So I touched on healthcare earlier. If you could have industry-specific templates, reports, and maybe even look and feel, or things that will help jumpstart your initiative for your specific vertical, all of those things are very helpful.
Okay, I think that's about it. We've gone through. Oh, there's one more that just came in. Let's see. Should we?
Yeah. Ashu,
Okay.
that's getting to be a pretty technical question, so let me go ahead and read it. Can Pentaho solutions function and interoperate with real-time, deeply embedded RESTful environments? You're trying to understand when we say embedded BI, at what level Pentaho capabilities can be embedded in. I'm thinking of analytics and a mobile-to-mobile edge router. That's starting to get into a really kind of technical discussion. The short answer is yes, and we do have a couple examples where we are embedded in RESTful environments. It depends on which modules you want from Pentaho, if it's the whole suite or if it's a couple specific options. But we can definitely follow up we can probably get you an answer. It's about a 15-minute call to get you a really solid answer on that. So I'd be happy to get that done for you.
Okay, thanks, Drew. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. We hope that you walk away with better understanding and insight of how embedded analytics can increase your revenue and market share for your organization. We will send a follow-up message within 48 hours with a link to the recording, the presentation, and then the contact details of the presenters here. So a special thank you to Felix and our other guest speaker, Kevin Dobbs. So we appreciate your time, and for all those on the call, have a great day.